Welcome to another episode of the Closers Klub. Today, I'm joined by Thomas Stevens. Thomas is a real estate agent, real estate investor, former Marine, and he also has a nonprofit, man. You're a busy guy, and I'm really blessed to have you in the studio today, Thomas. How's your day going so far?
I mean, I woke up breathing this morning, Robert, and I'm here in one of the dopest offices I've seen in a little while, so I'm excited.
Love it, man. Let's jump right into your origin story, Thomas. So how did you get into real estate? Where were you born and raised? And just tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I was born in Brockton, Massachusetts, and my dad's a computer guy, so we traveled around a little bit, Western Mass for a little while. But then most of my story is Cape Cod, Sandwich, Mass, and that's kind of where the story shifted. There's a little bit before real estate. We had some, the military and all that, but, when it comes to real estate, it's the missus. I blame her for most good in my life. She's the reason for a lot of positive transformations, and real estate is something she pushed for me to get into, and the doors that's open from it are spectacular.
Excellent, man. So we can talk about the military. I know you're not a former, but a deactivated Marine. What's the proper terminology?
It is a former. You never say
former. Gotcha.
Ex-Marine. You never.
Yes.
It's we're a Marine for life. Once you go through Paris Island or wherever you went for boot camp, you are you're a Marine for life. You earned that title. So 9/11, September 11th was a big day for me. It kind of like changed the entire formation of my life. It I'll never forget like where I was, English class, staring at the towers go down, and I just something clicked inside where it's like I got a seed was planted. Okay. So I graduated high school, went to Curry College, and played under some former Patriots who were the coaches at the time, Steve Nelson, Mosey Tatupo,
Nice.
Zabel. Made it to the ECAC championships. I played a couple of downs. The first, year I played football there was kind of special. And, after the football season, I had a cousin. I have a Gold Star family tree in my family tree, and his name was Andrew Stevens, and he died in a Blackhawk episode. It was a training episode in Fort Drum, New York.
Sorry to hear that.
It was another, it was just compounding interest of like, I got to do something. I want to just, he's Andrew Stevens. I'm Thomas Andrew Stevens. So like when he died, on top of the compounding, thought process I had over 9/11, I signed up for the reserves knowing that we were going to get activated. That's just the time we're in, but I still wanted to try to push it. I was doing really good in school, criminal justice, getting after it, playing football, having a lot of fun. But I still wanted to be involved, so I joined. And shortly after we got activated, and that's kind of where it all went down. There were some misdiagnoses on my left foot that caused me to become a drug addict while I was active duty. They were prescribing endless Percocets, and the refills were endless, and the bottles, like when you look at my medical records, it shows how many times they prescribed opiates, but never how many pills were in the actual bottle.
Wow.
Biggest bottles I've ever seen given to anybody. It's like they had a quota to be filled. And
I think they did, man.
I know
they were pumping that stuff. Yeah, they got in a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah. So, fast forward, it's 2 weeks before we're going to Iraq. We're in 29 Palms over in the Mojave Desert, California, training. It's the next stop is Kuwait before Iraq. And they finally, on the third attempt, diagnosed the problem correctly and sent me home here to Quincy, Mass, actually, for surgery. And while I'm healing up, I get a call that my fire team took a hit. So I was supposed to be in a Humvee that I wasn't. And I went down like a really dark rabbit hole, depression. I was on a $300 a day habit for a decade. We call it the dark decade in the VA now. And
yep.
It's, we finally got out of it. We met the missus, randomly out of nowhere. And she was only here on vacation from Florida. She hadn't been home in like 12 years. And stars aligned. We ended up, hitting it off. And that's kind of where the story shifts. And we start to pull our bootstraps up, by the laces and start to get after it. And, that's kind of where real estate shifts into play. And, it's an interesting journey we're on right now. That's for sure.
Thank you for sharing that, Thomas. I think a big part of what you shares and speaks on your resilience and your ability to kind of, like you say, pick yourself up and keep pushing. What do you think was the catalyst for the change? It was meeting your current wife?
It was so the night my daughter was being born. I could go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but she'll say it's TMI, so I'm not going to go down too far of the rabbit hole there. We're just going to fast forward to the night my daughter was being born, and I'll never forget it. I got Percocets delivered to the hospital. And I remember staring down the window from like whatever floor I was on, like waiting for him to pull up. And I saw him pull up in the valet section of MGH, and I ran down. My goodness! And then I'll never forget. I went. We had the bathroom in the hospital room. I went in. I sniffed my Percocets. That was my way of getting it into my body.
Yep.
You can't even believe that, but I did what I did in the bathroom, and then went out. Held my other half's leg while Akira was being pushed out. And the second she was born, she screamed life out to the air. And I cried like a baby.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Surreal experience, huh?
And like, I'm an empathetic human, but I like 10x'd it instantly, especially towards myself. Cause
wow.
I'm like, this is it. So that was the last night I touched a Percocet, and she's almost 10 years old.
Wow.
So
instantaneously.
Instant.
Wow.
So total transparency. That was the last night I touched a Percocet, but there was also, Big Pharma has their way of keeping you before they don't want to let you go just yet. So I knew about a drug called Suboxone, which is like the anti-opiate. So it's a blocker. So that's something I started getting off the street because I wasn't sure if I ever wanted anybody to know that I was a drug addict. So I never went to rehab. I never did anything that there would be records of it. I'm to a point now where I'm telling everybody.
It's transparent, right. You're sharing. There's power in that, man. Yeah.
But Suboxone, because I did it on my own without, prescription of a doctor or any oversight, I didn't know the extent of. I was hooked on Suboxone for 2 years.
Wow.
So that was another addiction to get off the addiction. So, but that kicking that $300 a day habit though.
Yeah.
I'm a networker. I network with the best of the worst. Now I network with the best of the best. So like I always was, I was working nightclubs, always had, the cash I needed to never transform over to anything other than manufactured prescription drugs. But, I did. I kicked that $300 a day habit the night my daughter was born. And that's now the trajectory from that night, everything has shifted.
Wow. What advice would you give to people, Thomas, who are out there potentially struggling with something similar? Could be alcohol or anything else that you think could be helpful for them while they're kind of going through this, and a step they could take towards getting free from it?
You got to grab hold of gratitude. You have to grab hold of gratitude. If you wake up breathing, there's a reason to be gratified. There's a reason to have gratitude in your life. So if you wake up breathing, if that's the only form of gratitude you can muster up, then you got to get, really fixated on the fact that you did wake up. You're here still. There's a reason for it, and use that as the simplest form of medication.
I love that. I was at a conference recently, a digital marketing conference, and it had a lot of dynamic speakers there. And one of them spoke on this. He said, you need something from your future to pull you forward. Too many of us get caught up looking at the past and getting stuck as, this is the only way I can live, and kind of trying to form a future based on where we came from. But he said that we have to do that. We have to look at the future, what we want our life to look like, and allow it to pull us forward. But he said it starts with gratitude. Same thing you said. And he said, people will say, well, I don't know what to be grateful for. And he said, gratitude is manufactured. You have to look at your life and start looking at the things in the ways you've been blessed. You may not even thought of it that way before, but like you said, just breathing alone, waking up today, right? Having a parent who's alive, or a parent who supports you, or a spouse, or a kid, or a child that inspires you, right? Like all of these things, man, the fact that you can walk, so I think that's really, really important. And I really appreciate you sharing that, man. It's powerful.
I appreciate that.
Yep. Yeah. So let me ask you this, Thomas. You've got, and I know you obviously outside of the studio here, but you've got a fantastic attitude towards life. You've got a ton of energy. And you just got that can't stop, won't stop approach to life that really kind of pulls you forward, right? I don't feel like there's any push, man. You're just being drawn. And so do you think the Marines played a role in that? Have you always been that way? Speak a little bit about that.
I mean, I'm the oldest of 6, so I've always been a leader from the very beginning. I was, captains of teams. I was, in high school, I was, whenever there needed to be mediations between students, I was the mediator. So I've always been in a place of leadership. So, the Marine Corps obviously, imprints a lot of discipline and leadership into you. A lot of that was numbed over the last, during my dark decade, a lot of that was numb. So, I wasn't able to be the best version of myself because I wouldn't allow any of that to really work its way through. But now that, I'm no longer, I don't have those crutches. I don't have those chains anymore. A lot of the discipline, a lot of the beast mindset from the Marine Corps is definitely working its way back out. And that's, it's definitely helping.
I love it, man. Fantastic. And obviously you have a nonprofit, and I'll let you explain a little bit about what you do. It's really powerful work you're doing out here with a lot of folks. And as you lead that organization, Thomas, what do you look for as far as the people you bring on board who are on your team? And just speak a little bit about how folks who are looking to learn how to lead, how you do it and what you think people can learn from it.
Well, when we're looking for, people to join the nonprofit, to be on the board, or just to bring value to the veterans, we're looking for people that are on the cutting edge of things, technology, AI, people that are getting educated, because with education can come leadership. So if you're not progressing with education, you're never going to be able to lead. So we're looking for people that are just on that progressive mindset, and everybody that's on the board brings different value in different ways. And we're starting to bring on, we're going to start hiring some interns that we can start to, mold. But it comes down really to education and the people that are cutting edge with anything technology, anything coaching wise, anything, especially AI related. We're looking for cutting edge, educated, just savagery.
Nice, man. What inspired you to start your nonprofit, Thomas? Because you were obviously a real estate agent. You're also an investor now. You own some investment properties or buying some investment properties.
So I'm a realtor in Masson, Rhode Island. I'm a part of the grievance committee. I'm a part of the RPAC, Realtor Political Action Committee. So I'm on the political side of things, homeownership, advocacy, and all that. So
excellent.
Not really doing residential sales as much anymore because we're more into the investing. We own some property in Newport. We're closing on one in Bourne. We're getting out of the day-to-day realtor life and more into the investing side of things. We're starting feasibility on some land in Attleboro, so starting to really, get into we're looking to create veteran housing. So that's kind of like, that's like the progression here is.
Love that.
I got the people together, we have great connections like you to talk about numbers with. So a lot of things are going to start to come together on the development side of things. But, in regards to the nonprofit, so, I've wanted to give back to the military in general because for a long time, depression, survivor's remorse, embarrassment, I should have died, I should have been there, all that was going through my head, still is. I'm still embarrassed. That's why I'm trying to use this nonprofit as a way to embrace the military in me and start to give back because I feel like I didn't do my part yet. So like this is going to be the way for me to like really support veterans for the rest of my life in the way I know how. I mean, because there's a reason I'm supposed to still be here, so
right.
this is just, I have the network, I have the support, we have the private funding, and we have, I think it's 10 veterans in the program right now. And we just started at the end of last year, actually through the mastermind that you and I are a part of. They played a huge part in helping me get this nonprofit off the ground. And now we have our first 3 veterans. So quick overview of the nonprofit is we help veterans get their real estate license because real estate played a part in saving my life and my comeback story between networking and all the doors that open up just through being genuine and talking with people and helping people with the biggest purchases of their lives. It's a beautiful thing. So I want to share that with veterans. So we have the funding to help them get through their pre-license hours. We have affiliations with the night before the exam, so they get exam prep. They get support. We have weekly meetings. Last week we had a lender and brokerage. Next week, we have Harrison Murphy, Patrick Murphy from the attorney firm there. So we're just educating along the way. And then once they get done with the program, we sign them up for the test. Everything's paid for. And then once they get their test, we have, built-in relationships all over the country. But for now, we're in the pilot program in Mass. And all the veterans were setting up with multiple brokerages so that they can, have the squared away relationships by the time they get their license. So it's full service. They have all the support, all the financing, and open door to my entire network of brokerages and every affiliate I have. And it's special. We got the first 3 veterans that just finished the pre-license hours and exam prep. And now they've signed up for there's a third party that has to do background checks with Massachusetts. And then they give the state the green light that you can get you can sign up for the test. So we're in that limbo period. We're waiting for the background checks to come back. But we got 3 veterans right now about to sign up for the test. And then we got our testimonials. We're going to have our proof of concept. We've been on REITs Across America nationwide radio twice. We're going up to Portland, Maine. We're starting to branch up north. We're going to Maine Points next. I'm bringing some veterans up from the program. We're all going up on the radio on June 5th. And it's getting pretty exciting. We're gaining a lot of traction. We got the team working on a big black tie fundraising event. It's going to be pretty dope.
Nice. Let me know.
Yeah,
love to come through.
So I'm gonna give this stud. I know because it was dope. We were in the board meeting. We were in a board meeting about like a month ago, and we were going over the finances, and we were like, they were like, "Who's Robert Nichols?" I'm like, "Why?" He donated $1,000. So I want to say thank you. That was very dope, man.
Hey, man, it's the impact you're having is real, Thomas. And anything I can do to support someone like yourself who is having a positive impact on people who need it most, man, it's my pleasure.
I felt so honored, man. It was very cool.
No, man, I felt just as honored to give it. So, trust me, man. And really, really just happy to give to a guy who's doing something that I really can get behind and really support. And again, I see that impact's real, man. And Tony Robbins, he has a saying, right? The secret to living is giving. And I feel like, Thomas, you're a giver to the max, man. And with that, do you feel like through your nonprofit and through all you do and all your work and all you're giving to these folks, giving them an opportunity to better their lives and learn a skill and really just transition into a new chapter, is that therapeutic for you as far as your mental health goals and how you feel every day? And you speak a little bit about that because I know you touched on that.
That is such a great question. This nonprofit is like a form of like a mental health. It's really impacting my mental health in a very positive way because I've been working through so much darkness and depression and embarrassment that being able to give back now. One of the Marines that's in the nonprofit, we were in the same battalion together. Like I'm starting to bring things close to home. Like before, I didn't even. It took me a very long time to even think about saying that I was in the military. Like 15 years. I didn't even go for my veteran disability. Now I'm hooked in with the VA, but there was so long that I was just so embarrassed, so like having this nonprofit to give back and the stories I'm hearing and the gratitude and my goodness, like some of these stories, it is so humbling. Some of the stories of the men that are coming right now, it's just men, but it's open to everybody. But some of the stories we are hearing are, my goodness. And they're here and they're getting after it and they're motivated and they're showing up, and it's powerful for me because I am still working through a lot myself, and this nonprofit is a way for me to give back, and it's 10xing my mental health.
I love it, Thomas. Did you realize when you started the nonprofit that it would have that impact on you and on your mental health?
No.
Really?
No. But as it's progressing, I focus on that. I'm like, wow, I was talking to one of the donors about this because he's a PhD and he's a psychotherapist and all this stuff. And I was talking to him about everything. And, because he was helping me with, I'm still working through a better relationship with death, because now that life's going so good, I don't want it to end. So like I'm working through getting a better relationship with death. But, yeah, I got sidetracked there.
No, you said he was kind of talking through some psychotherapy and relative to you kind of seeing the impact and the benefits.
Goodness. And then it was like a door opened inside. I'm like, oh my God, this is doing something really special for me. Like I feel like this is going to be the way that I can this is like my active duty right now that was stolen from me.
Wow. I love that.
This is my active duty right now, and I get to do this for 20 years plus. Like this is going to be my active duty right now.
Wow, man. No, I appreciate that. And as far as your overall and like day-to-day mental health, Do you've used psychotherapy and you're going through that process, or
the VA? I go, mental health Mondays. I have my
Nice.
I have my mental health appointments, and I have some really good family support. We
Yep.
got the Christina, my other half. I mean, she's a yoga instructor, Pilates instructor, and brings that like Zen to everything. And there's there's a lot of good energy and vibes in the air that they're carrying me to the next levels. And I'm at the very beginning of some really special things. I haven't even started yet, and I can already feel like a monumental shift in where I'm heading in life. The people that I'm starting to hang out with, the people that are trying to hang out with me, like it's special and it's pretty cool. And I'm not taking it for granted. In fact, I'm extremely honored and humbled that people see the value, they see the fire, and only death is going to stop like something pretty special from occurring with me, because I'm on a mission right now. And I wake up every morning, and before I open my eyes, I'll take a deep breath, and there'll be a morning or two that I cry my eyes out because I'm like, I'm here still, and
as a blessing?
But then before I open my eyes, I'll say in my head, will it impact my freedom? Will it impact my life? And is it in line with my 2030 vision? And then I open my eyes and I get the fuck after it.
I love it. I love it, man. I heard a quote recently. I'm going to paraphrase it, but essentially they said that your haters will always criticize and try to pull you down. Your haters will always show you your flaws. Your supporters will always show you your potential. And I really can see, Thomas, in the time we've talked and the times we've met, you've consciously or unconsciously surrounded yourself with amazing people. And so my question is, was that done intentionally or did it happen naturally? Speak on that, because I think what really has allowed me to become successful and really helped me grow is who I surround myself around. People like yourself, people in the mastermind, and really just making sure I'm around quality people as much as possible.
Yeah, I've blocked out any negativity. I block a lot of people on social media and life in general. There's
Smart.
a certain energy that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I don't. If you're not on that wavelength of energy, I want nothing to do with you. And it's happened organically. I've noticed, especially since I've become, just a cleaner mental version of myself. I'm genuine. I'm leading with empathy. I've noticed that gratitude and genuine empathy are like a cheat code for life. Like literally a cheat code for life.
Yep.
I have goosebumps right now because I'm living proof of it's just total synergy. He'll laugh about it. We talk about it all the time when we're collaborating. But one of the main donors of the nonprofit, I met him in an elevator.
Really?
15 seconds.
Wow.
Right? I met him in an elevator, and that's a story for another day. But we talk about how we met in an elevator.
Yep.
And how I did my thing in a 15, 20-second time period. And now we're just good friends, and he's a supporter of my life, like from a 15-second conversation in an elevator at Lifetime Chestnut Hill.
Wow. That's powerful, Thomas. No, man. You have the forum to explain. I mean, 15 seconds, man. That's amazing that you're able to connect with someone
15
that
seconds.
quickly.
Well, so my thing is when I'm in an elevator with people, I ask them, I quickly ask them a question so that they ask me how I'm doing, and I say I woke up breathing. And then that instantly starts a good vibe conversation. So then what I did right after that, I said that, like instantly I learned of the fact that he was going to be coming to the area and he was going to be buying a house. And so my realtor cap went on. And I'm like, and I live by Facebook, social media. I love it. So I say, hey, what do you on Facebook? And I do this with everybody. I'll just take their phones and find myself and add friend.
Yep.
And then I just see him popping up on the story. And then like 6 months later, he pops up on he reaches out in the DM and says, hey, let's meet for breakfast. I'm like, all right, cool. He must be ready to buy a house. Let's go. And we get to breakfast, and the first thing he says, I'm not going to say the price of the new build, but he's like, we just did a new construction in this really nice town. And I'm like, cool. I wonder what I'm doing here.
Right.
And then we start vibing over coffee at Volante Farms in Needham. And he came at me right away from a philanthropic.
Yes. It's a tough one. Philanthropic. Yeah.
Philanthropy.
Yeah.
From that level of life.
Yep.
And it was a really cool level of conversation because I talk about my story all over every platform. So if you follow me, you know I was a drug addict. You know that I'm, on a comeback story. I talk about everything, my real estate deals, the nonprofit, or at that point I didn't have the nonprofit, but he came to me right from how can we support veterans together, and it's just the conversations that have stemmed from that. He's one of the main reasons, actually. He's the one that gave us our seed money to start the nonprofit.
Wow.
From a 15-second conversation that I'm pulsing right now.
That is an awesome story. I really appreciate you sharing that, Thomas. It brings me to something else you touched on, and I'm just curious about this. I've heard, and I know this, right, that owning our truth is really one of the ways to find a deeper level of confidence, a deeper commitment to ourselves. And so when did you realize that it was empowering for you to do that, right? Because you own it, Thomas, right? I think a lot of people live in denial and like, oh, I don't want to share this and that, and they become ashamed, right? And you kind of went through that phase. But what was the trigger to transition you from, ashamed to, you know what, I'm going to own this. I'm going to master it, and I'm going to make my life what I want it to be.
Well, I think a lot of it stems from once I started to clean my life up, I had aspirations for a lot, and I still do. I have aspirations on a political level in the future, and I got in the mindset where if I tell my story now, there's not going to be as much to hurt me in the future.
So smart, man.
Yeah.
Wow. And it also is empowering too, Thomas, right? Like, on one hand, it allows you from a political standpoint and a career standpoint to get far without having any baggage. But I think also mentally and emotionally, it really allows you to be free from it, right? When you kind of put it out there, it gives you freedom.
It can't hurt me as much.
Correct.
Because like you said, there'll be haters. There'll be people that will try to dig. You won't have to dig far because I've already been talking about it the last 10, 15 years.
Yep.
You know? So that's kind of where I started to embrace it more once I realized that my life was meant for more. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm going to take this to some pretty high levels just because of the networks I'm now in and the people I'm collaborating with. And so I wanted to, and I knew that even before things started to get really good. I'm like, I know. I have this beautiful daughter now, this beautiful just other half that looks like Pocahontas and Princess Jasmine had a child. Half Dominican, half Syrian. This girl's no joke, man.
Yeah.
So I knew that things were going to start getting good. So I just started telling my story, embracing it, not being embarrassed about it, talking about drug addiction. And now we're able to really, understand a lot of these stories that we're engaging with through the nonprofit, because I've seen the darkest days of depression. I remember summer days where I stared out curtains knowing that my friends and family were at the beach and it was 95, but I was jonesing. I didn't have a fix that day because my guy was out of town. So I was sick,
Yep.
I'll never forget days like that. And now, man, yeah. Now you come at me, Yep. I'm an open book. I obviously have enemies from my past. Who doesn't, it is what it is. Life has progressed. If you knew me yesterday, you don't know me at all.
Wow. I love that, man. And again, we are not defined by the past, right? We are pulled forward by the future. If we have that vision and we allow ourselves to be influenced by what we desire versus where we were.
Hell yeah.
So
that's dope.
I love that, man. So when's the book coming out?
My mother, man. So she's retired. She worked for the housing authority for like 30 years. So she's an asset. She's on the board of the nonprofit. And she's, we're slowly working on the book. So 2030 is the plan, because since the turn of the decade, I started hashtagging 2030. And that was kind of my thing. You scroll down the 2030 filter, you'll see a bunch of me, and like that's kind of like my thing. Like, 10, that 10-year gap coming up. I'm like, that's going to be a pretty big gap period for me. Of like, I'm now officially like, almost the same distance away from the time period that I was a drug addict. I've almost matched that time. So it was 10 years. It's pretty much we're even playing field right now. And actually, we launched the nonprofit on December 7th of last year, which was me and the missus 10-year anniversary. It was the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Yep. And it was the 10-year mark from my dark decade. So we launched it on the day, the way it all worked out, it was like synergy, how we were able to like launch on that day. It was a very powerful day to launch.
Love it, man. Yeah, I asked. I didn't even know you were writing a book, Thomas.
Yeah.
But I asked because when I hear you speak, there's so much power there, right? To really inspire and give people the confidence to own their truth and find a better way, man. Because I think you've been able to do that, and I think so few people are able to figure it out. But I think your story is something that will really save a lot of lives, man. I really believe that. And, you know, you talk about your mission and you talk about kind of being able to kind of pay that forward. But I think that this is only the beginning of that, Thomas. I'm telling you that, man. You know, this is the beginning of that journey, brother. And you're gonna continue to do amazing things. And I definitely want to just recognize you for that, man.
Dude, this has been just amazing to even just talk out loud. It's therapeutic just
Absolutely.
to talk out loud. And, you know, we'll look back on this podcast in like 10 years and, you know, we'll just, where we're both going to be in life is going to be, you know, just total different playing fields.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we'll be able to have even bigger impact.
Yes.
Yep. This is part one.
Part one. Endless impact to come.
Oh yeah. Good stuff, man. So what is the name of your nonprofit again? Just so people are clear on that so that folks can support you and connect with you and
I love that.
do more.
So it's collaborative21.org will be the website. So collaborative21.org. And it's all about, you know, I live by networking and collaboration. So that's why I chose the collaborative. And then the 21 stands for the 21 gun salute. So that's the highest honor that one can obtain. And it's our highest honor to support our veteran community, give back. And it's our highest honor to collaborate with you. You know,
Nice.
So it's the Collaborative 21. We're 501c3, you know, so come the end of the year, anybody that needs to fill any buckets up, we're here.
I love that. And then as far as agents as well, right? So we know the donors, guys, support this man. This is amazing work he's doing. You've heard his story. Very inspiring. As far as the veterans who want to get into real estate, so how can they connect with you? Same website, same process?
So through the website, collaborative21.org, there'll be how to apply, and you can go right in and literally fill the application out right off the website, and it goes right to our back end, who in this case is my mom, actually.
Nice.
My mom
Family
is
business.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's the admin, so she'll let me know after she's reviewed the application, and you know, once you get approved, you're going to get a welcome email with the next steps, and from there, you will get the pre-license hours to start the party. And we're in the infancy right now. All the veterans in the program know that we're all guinea pigs. We're learning a lot of do's and don'ts. Like I wanted to learn all the do's and don'ts in a small capacity before we, you know, took this out where we're going to go. We wanted to make sure we didn't mess up with 50. We wanted to mess up with like 5 to 10.
Right.
So we have what we need for the pilot program, and we're shaking the tree out. We're getting all the right affiliations, all the right systems in place, all the back end, all the everything. And it's starting to come together, and come the end of the year, we're going to have a really big sponsored fundraising event, and it's going to be
Nice.
black tie. It's going to be something that it's going to become a yearly experience that's going to start to gain a lot of traction from the people that we're going to bring in, you know, from the people we're going to have sponsor the entertainment. It's going to start to gain just
Tons of traction. Yeah, absolutely. No, I see it already, man. I mean, you guys are just starting, and I was compelled to try to be a part of it, right? So that's a great sign when people want to be a part of your organization because of the energy, because of the truth, because of the power and the impact you're having, you know, just with your story and how you move, man. It's how you roll, Thomas. So
let's go, man.
Yeah, no, that's great. One last question for you, Thomas, as we wrap up, relative to your story. If you kind of reflect on your past and look back, is there any advice that you would have given to your younger self now that you know what you know about life and the experiences you've had?
Man.
Take your time.
What would I tell my younger self?
And it could even be when you were going through the toughest time, right? Like, is there anything that you wish you had seen sooner?
I wish I built my relationship stronger with God.
I love that.
Sooner.
Yep.
I do. I wish I had him during the dark decade.
Yep.
I shunned him. You know, I did. I shunned him. So I wish I didn't shun him. So I guess when you're in your darkest and deepest depression and sadness, embrace rather than shun.
Right, because you need it more at that point than ever.
Yeah. There's no atheist in a foxhole.
I love that. Good stuff, man. So how did you rekindle your faith?
Organically.
Gotcha.
Organically. As the mind started to unfuzz and unnumb and things started to working again fully.
Yes.
I think I had blockers to anything spiritually going on chemically, because I was just blocking everything with chemicals.
Yep.
So I think once I stopped all the chemical intake, spiritual intake was able to take over. And it's I got my scapula. I'm a very spiritual human. I would just, I don't know necessarily what, I would fall under. I just know that I believe.
Right.
And we're here. And I know that when I feel closer to that, I feel better.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think to my younger self, I would say get more involved sooner with your spirituality.
Yeah, no, I'll make one last point on that too, Thomas. There's a guy I follow on YouTube named Myron Golden. I just went to his conference. He's a digital marketer, but his whole practice and his whole process is built on biblical principles.
Mm-hmm.
And so he says people think the Bible is a religious book, and he's like, it isn't. He's like, there's religion in there, but fundamentally it's a book of principles that if we follow them, he says, what do you say? You see it, you do it, and you live it. If you live by those principles or something like that, ultimately you can test it and see if it works for you or not. And he's like, if you follow it, I guarantee it'll work.
So my business partner who you met, Leo Gamma.
Yes.
We went last week to Warrior Conference. It was his church was a part of it. There were 52 churches from across the country up at Waterville Valley, up at the resort. And it was very empowering. They talked a lot about how we have our algorithm, and then we have our browsing history that's always full of garbage, and we're always deleting it so people can't see it, because we're, you always want to. It was very empowering on the fact that, we have to clear the browsers, we have to focus, and really start to embrace the fact that we have an algorithm, and when you attach spirituality to that algorithm, it's another cheat code.
I love that. So true. So good, man. Good stuff, Thomas. Well, no, again, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Folks know how to connect with you. You can also plug your real estate business as well if you're looking for deals, if you're looking for clients.
We will literally.
This is your chance, man.
I love that. So we're looking for land. We're looking for, fix and flips anywhere in the country. And my network's pretty powerful. So if someone sends me something across my desk that doesn't work for me, I got a phone call away from wholesaling it or something. So anything. If you guys want to throw me any sort of opportunities, I can bring solutions to any opportunity. And, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here right now, Robert. This has been special, man.
First of many. Let's do it, man.
Let's go.
Love you, man. This has been great, Thomas. Thank you, man.
This has been an honor. Thank you very much.
All right. And that's it, guys. That's a wrap. Definitely be sure to like, share, subscribe, and spread the word about the podcast, but more importantly about his message and the great work he's doing out here. Stay tuned for more.